Welcome to Legacy Magazine presents The Business of Black Business, a talk show that interviews Black entrepreneurs and advocates for Black businesses. Topics include access to capital, best business practices, success stories, and more. Now introducing our host, Jay Reynolds.
Hello, and welcome to another installment of The Business of Black Business. Now, are you an emerging minority or woman-owned business that would like to launch or scale up? Well, I'm sure that you know already, but I'm going to tell you anyway, that this month is Black Business Month. And I kind of feel like I've been struck by lightning because I get the opportunity or won the lotto or something, because I get to talk to three of South Florida's thought leaders, three of South Florida's industry leaders that basically are true advocates for Black and minority-owned businesses. Hello, my name is Jay Reynolds. I own WolfCreek Consulting. We are a top-ranked executive staffing firm, specializing in placing people in finance, accounting, and IT. This is the Business of Black Business, a show that's dedicated to people to help people like you, Black entrepreneurs and would-be Black owners, giving them a unique opportunity to hear directly from Black businesses, successful Black businesses, or thought leaders, to hear how they did it, to hear exactly the services that they provide. It's also a very unique opportunity to get unfiltered advice from those thought leaders. And hopefully today, you're going to walk away with something that helps you to launch, scale, sustain your business. Before we get started, you know what I have to do. I have to thank the sponsors, the people that make this possible. So I want to thank Demesman and Dover Personal Injury Attorneys. Victor, thank you and your team for all you do. Career Source South Florida, FAMU, Medical Marijuana Educators and Research Institute, Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach, and lastly, AARP. All of you guys have supported us from the beginning, and I really, really appreciate you making this important. So again, I'm very excited about this interview. It's an opportunity for us to be able to talk to what I believe are the tips of the spears as it relates to advocating for Black businesses. So first of all, I want to introduce the three of you guys. Welcome to the show, and I know that you guys are so busy and you wear a lot of hats, so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. First of all, I want to introduce Shaheewa Gelin.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Gelin. I've been calling her Gelin for as long as I remember, and now I find out her name is Gelin. So anyway,
Gelin.
Good friend. But thank you very much, Shaheewa. I want you to introduce yourself first. First of all, you're the founder and president of the Broward County Black Chamber of Commerce. You're also the general counsel and vice president in compliance for Galen Benefit Group. The chamber officially launched in August of 2018, and you currently have over 290 members, which is an amazing exponential growth. So thank you very much for being here. And I'll come back to you in just a second because I want you to introduce yourself. Okay. Matthew Pygat, the Minority and Small Business Enterprise Manager for Miami. So Matthew, thank you for taking the time to do this. I appreciate that as well. And Grassford Smith, President of the Black Chamber of Commerce of Palm Beach. Grassford Smith is a litigating partner for one of the top U.S. law firms in the country. Through his office in West Palm Beach, he practices complex business litigation and has represented a diverse clientele, including Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, elected officials, a Major League Baseball team, and Major League and major online travel retailers as well. So what I would like you guys to do, I really don't read bios because I really could spend like half of this show reading just you three guys' bios. I would much prefer you guys to introduce yourselves, right? To talk about who you are, talk about your background, your influencers, and what makes you you. So again, let's start. Ladies first. Shaheewa, why don't you talk to us about who you are and what makes you you?
Okay. All right, thank you, Jay. Once again, thanks for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here, especially because it's such a special month and National Black Business Month. This was the month of our founding of the chamber. It'll be our fourth anniversary on August 13th. As we launched 4 years ago in 2018. So we're extremely excited to be here. A little bit about me. I'm a lawyer by practice. I've practiced immigration law for about 18 years and then moved into practicing health law, still do a little immigration. But I believe because of that litigation background, I'm perfectly suited for the advocacy role for the chamber. We want to make sure that we're advocating on behalf of our small businesses, and that's really important to me personally. We also make sure that we're promoting our Black businesses, something that's important because once again, I also am a small business owner. I help run a small company. So I know what it's like to need someone there in the fight when things are difficult, but also to lift you up and give you a platform to promote your small company. So that's who I am at heart and by nature. I'm an advocate, a fighter, and someone who just wants to be a support to see our community change for the better. And for me, I believe that means we have to build up our businesses to create jobs, to then create wealth and build up our communities the way they should look and they deserve to look.
I agree. And I can attest to the fact that you are a fighter and that you're an advocate for Black businesses because I have seen you hold people accountable.
Right.
It scared me. I had to back up a couple of times, but
Yeah, hey, you got to get it done.
Grassford, why don't you talk about yourself? Yeah.
Yes, hello,
Tell
good
us who you
afternoon.
are and what makes you you.
Good afternoon. First of all, Jay, I want to thank you and Dexter for putting this important program together at a very important time to kick off Black Business Month. I have had honor and privilege for going on about a year and a half to serve as the president, the chairman of the Black Chamber of Commerce for Palm Beach County. And we definitely perform the advocacy role that Shaheewa mentioned in regards to her chamber in Broward. But we've been very, very focused, Jay, on making sure that our business owners are adequately trained. We saw, gaps when the PPP funding and other measures were being put out there, and some of our businesses, frankly, were not able to take advantage of that. And we saw that as a challenge for us to really be there and to fill in the gap, during COVID. And I think we've been able to do that well. And other things that our businesses need, like finance. So our board.
Grassford, I want to interrupt you for one
Sure.
second, purely because of this. You're a humble guy. However, I want some of the business owners behind us to be able to know who you are and what makes you you and how you got to where you are, because people need to understand. There are people out there that you will perhaps turn a light switch on purely because of the journey you have traveled, personally. Because I'm going to ask you specific questions about your chamber, but I really want people to hear about who you are.
Sure, and I appreciate that. And I'm focused on the chamber, not on myself.
I know, but I'm not going to let you do that.
I'm following you.
I had to fix that right away.
I am an equity partner at a national law firm called Ackerman. I'm in the West Palm Beach office. I also head the litigation department for the West Palm Beach office. I've been practicing for about 17 years. And I've been very, very involved, Jay. In fact, I'm currently the president-elect of the Palm Beach County Bar. But I saw an opportunity to assist our community in Black business ownership and progression. And I think that's been one of the greatest privileges that I've had in my career to this point.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Matthew Pygot, talk to us about who you are as a professional and who you are as a person, and who are your influencers and what makes you you.
Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate the opportunity, and shout out to you and also Dexter and all the team at MIA Media for hosting these critical conversations that we really need in our community. I'm here on behalf of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. Our president, Eric Knowles, couldn't make it today, and I want to extend our regards from our board chairman, Jeff Lazama, for inviting us to be a part of this conversation that's so much needed, intersecting all these Black chambers here in South Florida, really show the united front we have and making sure that we are developing and empowering our business community. The Miami-Dade Chamber has been in existence over 48 years, and this is what we do. And I just joined the chamber about 3 years ago. I came from this community. I was born and raised here in South Florida. Had an opportunity to go off to Morehouse. I was the first one in my family to go off to college, and that's where I saw the power of success and business success. I came back home and worked as a community organizer, and got so good at community organizer, I took over my hometown and became mayor for the city of Opa-locka.
Wow.
And that's when I learned about the importance of businesses, because it's our businesses that lay the economic foundation, as Shaheewa said, to provide the jobs, the wealth that our community needs in order to build institutions around for our family and our kids continue to develop. So it is an honor and a pleasure to be here at the chamber. And what I specifically do is really help those small business owners get their structure together so they can access capital and government contracts. And I also bring together our members. So I have like 12 committees of business leaders in construction, advocacy, nonprofit, that we're coming together, literally changing the landscape of how Black and minorities do business here in South Florida.
Great. Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it. First, you not only told us about yourself, but you told us about the chamber as well. Shaheewa, you guys, I mean, your chamber is kind of a benchmark for how to do it right, in my opinion. Certainly I'm involved, in the Black chamber there locally. And I got to tell you, we are all very busy people, and we have to use our time wisely, right? So I decided, based on, the time that it was important to me to get involved with the Black chamber, based on how you put this together and based on the really quick way you scaled it up and the respect that you've gotten very quickly. Talk to me about that, about the chamber. Tell me what your vision about it. Tell me how you decided to build a structure. Talk to us about your chamber.
Okay. Thank you for that opportunity, Jay. I think at the time that I was conceptualizing how I would, help, we had a lot of different things going on in the country. So we had, during the 2016 elections, I helped kind of put groups together to do some get out the vote stuff. And it brought me to our neighborhoods all across the county. Now, you may know that conceptually, but to see the blight, to see the struggle up front, and then I turn around and then start to look at some of the statistics that one statistic in particular stood out to me, that 38% of our Black children in Broward County were living in poverty. And that hit me really hard. And quite frankly, I think the word is it disturbed me. It disturbed my spirit to know that, because that spoke to me in a way that said their parents aren't getting opportunities. There's no stability in that household. When they come out, what are they looking at? They're looking at what I'm seeing.
Right.
Adults riding bikes in the middle of the day. There are no businesses. There's no vibrancy in the neighborhood. They're coming out and seeing an absence of everything instead of seeing an abundance, which should be what their future is about. So that, coupled with the fact that there was this, kind of buy Black movement, and I got that. I was like, yeah, all right. We're not spending enough within our communities. We need to support our Black businesses. And on top of that, our Black businesses need to be vending Black as well. But at the same time, I said, right, but we have to do a little bit more than just find each other and patronize each other. And that's when I started doing more research to say, well, no, we need an advocate. How are our government dollars being spent? I started doing some research on some of our major government entities here in Broward County, and found that one in particular, 0.43% was being spent with Black businesses, right? That's unbelievable. In a county where you have almost 30% of the population is Black, individuals, how can you spend 0.43%, especially when the majority of the people this institution was serving is Black? So why aren't you doing business with your vendors who then understand the community? They speak the language of the community. And so that kind of translated across the landscape when I looked at other government agencies. So anyway, I'm a lawyer, so I like to research. So I'm just digging up all this research and finding out that,
And getting angrier and angrier and angrier.
Yeah, right. And as you get angry, and I know Matthew can kind of relate, you get angry, but then you say, how can I channel this? Because then I'm just going to explode in this spot. How can I channel this to say, how can I make a difference? And so that's why it boiled down to me doing the research, but then before I officially launched, saying, let me go around and speak to our small business owners. So I did a 6-city tour before actually launching to get that feedback, to say, here's what I found. This is what I'd like to do, but what do you need? What are you experiencing? What are your obstacles? And then kind of put the pieces together to form an organization that was kind of made for our community, right? By our community, because I got their feedback from the very beginning to say, yes, we obviously need an advocate who is liaising with these government agencies and holding them accountable, but then who is also approaching some of our major corporations in Broward County saying, we have Black businesses here. We want to partner with you. You need to be utilizing us. Here's what we can do. Who's sharing that list? And I found there was no one here in Broward County. So that advocacy was very important, but also the education piece that Grassford brought up. Our businesses have to be ready for these opportunities. And, people like us that may have that background, that education, have gone to college. I heard Morehouse. I know that Grassford has gone to, correct me if I'm wrong, NYU, I think. But, we have the education, we've gone to college, so we should be able to come on and present ourselves and do these presentations and prepare these proposals that are required by private and government sources. But some people don't. They have a trade, they know it very well, and they need that help. And so we wanted to be that source of help. So I found that if we were that advocate, but then we also put together very strong programming, people would come, they would see the value, and they would join. And that's how we built up the chamber.
Right. It's excellent example. Now, Grassford, the West Palm Beach Chamber has been around for a long time. Why don't you talk to us about that? I mean, and kind of what led a good alpha man to decide to lend himself to taking it from one level to the next?
Well, Jay, you know how us alphas are. It's hard to keep us out. But before I make any comments, I just want to echo your sentiments. I think Shaheewa has done really an exceptional job leading the Broward Chamber. For them to be so young and to see how far that chamber has gotten under her leadership, she deserves all the kudos and praise for what she has done. In terms of the Black Chamber of Palm Beach County, we were previously called the Suncoast Chamber. There's a previous iteration of our group. And if I'm not mistaken, we were involved with creating a big concert there that was a predecessor for one of the big concerts that we currently have here in town. So the chamber was around for quite a bit. I've been on the board for about a decade or so. And Jay, what impresses me the most about the chamber is the diversity of our board in terms of the industries that they represent. Banking, obviously, is hard to do a whole lot unless you have the financing to do it. And so our chamber has been working with the BBIC, the Black Business Investment Corporation, to make sure that our businesses in town are properly funded. And so the BBIC helps to underwrite loans for companies that may otherwise not qualify for a traditional loan, with a bank. So we're razor focused on that. We're focused on the training component I mentioned before. Jay, during the pandemic, we started a platform called Wednesday Wisdom. And just about every Wednesday, we have experts coming in from just about every area you can imagine. And we get a lot of attendees, and we're talking about things that are very, very specifically tailored to our business owners. And we've gotten tremendous feedback from that. And I want to also plug that we've been focused even more holistically on our health issues. So we brought in medical professionals. We all know that if you're not healthy, really nothing matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And that includes mental health. So we brought people in to focus on those important topics. And again, we're very much razor focused on advocacy. Here's what I've seen. because we have been so active within the community, a lot of folks are reaching out to us saying, well, we are trying to get this contract, and so on and so forth. Can you help us?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm especially proud that because our profile has been so great within the community, that we're also being contacted by folks within the community to assist them as best we can. We have on the 4th of this month, the West Palm Beach Commission and the mayor will present us again with a proclamation for Black Business Month at an event that will be incredibly well attended with Black business owners and other business owners. And so the word is out that we're doing the best that we can to help our business owners. And I'll talk about some other initiatives that we have coming down the pipe. But we are definitely all in terms of helping our business owners.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about that in a minute. Shaheewa, I have a question for you in terms of, first of all, for me, Black Business Month is every month for me, right? Yeah, I'm a Black business, and that, hey, look, it is important to me each and every month. But kind of tell me why is it necessary and important for us to recognize Black Business Month, and why did it take so long? In your thoughts, why did it take? It's 20 years old. Why do you think it took so long to be a movement?
Well,
And I'd like all you guys to take a shot at that same question, please.
Well, I think that it's about raising the consciousness. And I know when I first started the chamber, I didn't really hear much of a buzz about, National Black Business Month. Once again, just in doing the research, I found out that, just a little history. Frederick E. Jordan, an engineer, he had an engineering construction management company in 1969. He didn't have any financing options. So he was kind of going through what some of our small businesses are currently going through, and started this business part-time out of his home because, lack of capital, you do what you have to do to start your business. And in an effort to draw attention to the needs of Black entrepreneurs, including, lack of access to capital and the lack of equity in government contracting. Sound familiar? We kind of still fighting some of those same battles. He teamed up with John William Templeton, who's also a business owner, and they started National Black Business Month to bring awareness to some of these obstacles and struggles. And they started it way back in, I think, 2004 is what I read. So yeah, it's been around for a while. But I think, like I mentioned, there was that Buy Black movement. Then we had the Bank Black movement. And then I think more and more of our chambers are getting the recognition for the work that they're doing. And so we also raise the awareness of the needs of our Black business community. And so I think based on what we've been going through, especially lately, I say, during the pandemic, a lot of people said, which I was waiting for, I don't have to be disrespected in a Starbucks, like arrested for sitting there, in order to say, hey, I need to patronize a Black coffee shop or a Black bookstore. Why can't I go and patronize my Black establishments without there, being something bad that has happened to me in another place?
Something attached to it. It should be anything attached to it. It should be this is what I want to do. This is where, this is what makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Not because of something attached to it.
And I think, I just think with with the things that have been happening, people are saying that their consciousness is kind of raised, like, this is how we've been treated. Why don't we support each other, more? Why aren't we communicating with each other? Why aren't we creating that sense of community that, some would say was lost when we kind of all scattered into different places, the suburbs and whatever? We're not living in community. So we have to create community in a very different way. And that's what is housed, I believe, in our chambers, where we come together, we discuss how we can support each other, we discuss our obstacles, we talk about our triumphs, we support each other, we push each other. And that's that sense of community that I think happens in Black chambers that, emanates throughout the ecosystem that we're trying to create, to say, yes, we need to support our Black businesses. And I think it's only going to grow and get bigger from here.
Got it. Matthew, what are your thoughts on that? Why is it important, and why did it take so long? You're muted, Matthew. Got you. You're
All
up.
right, now I'm unmuted. It took a little
Yes.
minute to get unmuted, but so we can clearly see why Shaheewa and the Broward Black Chamber is so on point and growing, because she hit it right at home and bringing up that history. It's on us. We cannot wait for America or any other group to do what we need to do for our own community, period. And when there's a need, that's when we take action. And thankfully, we had a need from a guy that said, you know what, I'm going to step up and take that action. And he was dealing with the same exact problems we're dealing with now. We run a construction committee here at the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce and an advocacy committee. And their number one focus is access to capital and equity in government contracting. So these same issues and challenges we've been dealing with for decades, for decades, is not changing. And that's why we need to make sure that we understand that we take care of ourselves. We build organizations and institutions that can take that action and step up for us. Because individually, as a business owner, we can be lost.
Yeah.
We have a lot of challenges being lost of just the steps of how to become certified, how to manage your budget, how to prepare to access capital. But then once you connect with others, connect with mentors, connect with organizations like the chambers that are here, you can start to connect with those who went through those same struggles. And now we're able to learn and build our institutions. So that's why it's important that we continue to have Black Business Month, so that we can recognize the problem, bring light and attention, and get more people to understand that we're in this together. And if we work on this together, we rise together. And that's what we do at the Chamber of Commerce here in Miami-Dade County and throughout South Florida.
Got it. Got it. Well, I absolutely totally agree with you, Matthew. Grassford, what do you think?
So I certainly 100% endorse both of the speakers' comments, Shaheewa and Matthew, and what they just stated. I just had the experience of visiting the Memphis Civil Rights Museum just a few days ago, which was an eye-opening experience for me. I was able to see the site where MLK was assassinated at the Lorraine
Motel, yeah.
Motel, and in fact, was able to directly listen to the audio of some of our ancestors who lived during, Jim Crow and et cetera. And one of the things that was emphasized during that visit is that there were more Black businesses per capita in the U.S. than there is now. And so, in a sense, we have gone in the opposite direction. And I heard Matthew mention the word need and necessity. Back then, we had to patronize our own businesses. When you traveled, you had the book where you looked through to see where you could,
the green book.
The green book. What hotel could I stay? What restaurant could I go to? And here's what we all know, and this is sort of basic macroeconomics. If you spend money into a community, that community gets richer, and the community from which you spend the money gets poorer. So we need to go back and think about, having some real focus on, how we support one another, understanding the impact that it has, in a variety of different ways. So I think about that history because, quite frankly, I just came out of that experience, having left that museum. Here's the other quick point I'll make. Anytime there's progress in this country, I don't know if you all know about Derek Bell, that professor who wrote a book called Faces at the Bottom of the Well. He was actually one of my former law professors. And in some of his articles, he talks about when you have any sort of progress in this country, you always have the pushback that follows. So nothing that's good is going to come without a challenge and a fight. So the reality is Black Business Month has a potential to be good if the power is leveraged the way it can be. But there's certainly forces that don't want to see it leveraged properly. So it's up to us to go back to Shaheewa. If we have a higher level of consciousness behind why it exists, then we would support it, and it would actually have the power that it can have. That potential could be realized. So understanding that there are forces out there that really don't want to see us progress. And I think if we understand that, then we'll act accordingly.
Yeah, I totally agree. The opportunity to step backwards is certainly there, but I think that the mindset is shifted to the point in time when I don't think, especially Black businesses, after they've gone through over the course of the last 2.5 years, nobody plans to go back through that. And I want to talk about that a little bit, the future, right? 43%, we lost 43% of all Black businesses during COVID in 2.5 years. 43% of legacy type businesses that are gone, that perhaps will never come back. Now, the good news is there's a surge in the growth of Black owned businesses over the course of the last year or so. Black businesses are beginning to rebound after COVID. Are you guys seeing a growth in your respective chapters, chambers? And what do you think about that? Are you seeing that growth that we're going to need in order to replace losing 43% of all Black owned businesses? I'll go with you, Matt, first.
All right. So yeah, we are actually seeing a growth in our chamber. There are people that are signing up. And that's the challenge with a lot of us as or those that participate in Black organizations. Membership, many times, getting people to actually step up and be there is always a challenge because people don't realize the need. But once they actually get in and see it, then it changes. So we are seeing a growth in Black businesses that are growing. However, we do also recognize that this pandemic hit a lot of people hard, and we are still recovering at this moment. So shout out to all those that have weathered the storm and kept that business alive. But many times that was at the cost of taking out capital, pulling into savings that needs to be recovered so that we can have solid foundations. And that's what we're here about. So we're still making sure we push the envelope to make sure that our businesses get access to these government contracts, these corporate contracts, and do business with each other so that we can build back up those strong institutions our community needs. And that's what we do here at the Miami-Dade Chamber.
I think, and Grassford made a couple of points I want to kind of touch on, and then I'll let him talk too. But the fact of the matter is that there will be no more PPP. You know, there will be no more EIDL loans. That stuff, hey, if you were lucky enough to get struck by lightning, hey, hopefully you took that money and you did the right things. And I'm because of the growth and because I'm seeing companies get stable and begin the process of growing. You know, many of those people that actually did get those loans will be reinvested in their companies and they're doing the right thing. However, I believe that that is just it's not over yet. And the access to capital from organizations like yours, okay, where a company that can't go in and get traditional funding from a Regions Bank, we have got to do a better job as a community taking care of these businesses to allow them to be able to go in and get those kinds of funds. And Grassford, because you talked about it, I want you to go next to talk about that growth, and then Shaheewa, you can finish. But you mentioned the point about that I think that's really important, that we all understand that it's not over yet. It's not over yet, you know?
Yeah, to your point, Jay, somebody said at a recent conference that we're in a post-COVID environment. I'm like, no, we're not. We're still in a COVID environment, and as Matthew stated so eloquently, a lot of people suffered, you know, as a result. So it's something that we have to be mindful of. I think Black business owners, first from a chamber perspective, I've seen a significant uptick in our membership, and Black businesses are in a way similar to other businesses. If you offer them something of value, they're gonna want to take advantage of it. So
Amen.
We've seen our membership increase because I think our members recognize that we're offering them, a value. This point about financing is critical because besides, the BBIC, which I mentioned earlier, one of our board members, Theus, also with Valley Bank, her bank has been tremendous in terms of giving our business owners opportunities. A board member, PNC, the same thing. So we've been purposeful in terms of the composition of our board and making sure that we understand the needs of our members. I want to touch on a quick topic that relates to membership. We just not too long ago launched our Young Professionals organization, our group, which is a subgroup of our Black Chamber. And we all on this call know that pipeline is incredibly important. And I showed up to one of our events, young professional events, and we must have had about 150 people in there, Jay. Very well attended. But we are now channeling that interest, and just recently had an event where we brought in experts to talk to our young professionals about financing, about all these different things that they need to know, because we understand that they're the future of our organization, of our community. So I want to just recognize that pipeline is certainly something that we're focused on as well when it comes to growing our businesses.
That's pretty cool, because I'll tell you this, that in the 80s, we were told, go get a college education, go get a degree, go to work for corporate America, right? Those kids are not listening to that at all. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear, hey, look, how do I go out and create this on my own? And the good news is that they have, today they have a place to go. I mean, your organization and Shaheewa's organizations, Matt's organization, they have a place to go to say, okay, help me to figure this out. I have the energy, I have the drive, to have the education. Okay, now I need a little bit of structure. Help me to do that. So I think that we're going to be really, really surprised over the course of the next, 5 to 10 years in terms of what comes out of this, what comes out of it. Shaheewa, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think we kind of all experienced the same thing. I got those very, troubling, frantic calls during the pandemic. Some of our members had just invested, I had a member that had a Kona ice truck. She's like, I just bought my third truck and here's the pandemic. There are no events. And, we're having those discussions about, what to do and how do you move forward, and trying to help, find some private events and different things for her to help her keep her afloat. And we had some others that did the great pivot everybody kept talking about. We have a company that makes and manufactures chemicals, and they kind of pivoted to making hand sanitizer and selling masks and things. And so they were able to do fairly well during the pandemic. But I think for, our members, they realized, hey, yeah, they're really here for me. I personally called each and every one of our members to see how they were doing. And to kind of go through, okay, well, no, how are you really doing? Like, what are you doing? Any business coming through?
Tell me the truth, right? Don't put on the brave face. Tell me the truth.
Exactly. Who do you need to meet? What is stalling? And so we made sure that we were problem solvers during that period of time for our members, and that we put on programming that, had a different meaning. I came into 2020 with a plan. We started out with, we had this mind your business thing, just like Grassford mentioned, having that mental stability and everything is important. We started out with, we would do that quarterly, and we hit the January 2020 with and a stress assessment and things of that nature to kind of help our business owners focus. And then here we go in the middle of stress with a pandemic. And we pivoted to doing, having PPP information sessions, PPP forgiveness sessions. So there were sessions that were of value to our members and beyond. And we saw our numbers grow because of that. But I will tell you this. I also think we saw our numbers grow because there was an awakening that occurred during that period of time. Yes, you have small business owners that said, yeah, I'll be a member of the chamber to support it. I need to be there. If I have a business, I need to be in a chamber. So why not be in a Black chamber as well? But let's be honest, there were others that were like, well, why do I need to be a member of a chamber? I mean, I'm not the only one who has heard that. Even when I started the chamber, people were like, well, why do we need a Black chamber? And I think the pandemic gave those people an answer. It was like, I'm out here by myself. I have no clue what
exactly.
I don't know what an EID is.
The Black chamber is going to take my call. Somebody from the chamber is not going to take my call, especially during this time, right? But somebody from the Black chamber is going to take my call, and they're also going to try to put me in the right place. They're going to introduce me to somebody, put my hand in their hand, right? You're exactly right. That's what Black business owners saw during the pandemic.
That's what they experienced. They called
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, I'm not a member, but I need to be a member and I need this and I need that. And I think through the pandemic, having that, unfortunately, that emergency situation forced them to say, yeah, I should have been investing and maybe I should have been a member, but you know what? I'm going to do it now because I understand the need. I understand the need for my business, but I understand the importance of also supporting an institution that will be there for me. And we were there. We partnered with NDC to provide a direct gateway for many of our members to get their PPP within days. I had members who were part of large institutions and they were like, I'm number 75,000 in line. And they had their paperwork in order and they were able to get their PPP dollars. And coming out of that in August during National Black Business Month, we said, we saw some of the difficulties with which people were struggling, and we teamed up with a company, Fiserv, to launch a $500,000 grant here in Broward County because they have a headquarters in Coral Springs. So we gave grants out. And then we also followed that up with the next year to say, yeah, people complained about small Black businesses not having their financial statements together. Well, let's stop complaining. What are we going to do about that? And so I went after some dollars with Truist. We have a board member from Truist and went after those dollars and provided a small business strengthening grant last August. So we actually installed QuickBooks for free for a year for free in those businesses and gave them one-on-one training using a business that's already in the chamber. That's a QuickBooks expert to do one-on-one training for hours, allowing them to understand the importance of not only having the software, but what is a balance statement? What is your profit loss statement?
What's a P&L?
Yeah, getting them to understand that. So allowing them to clean up their back of house. So now they do emerge stronger. They can go after lines of credit, loans, and the grants, because even when they issued those grants that were CARES Act funded, they had to have their taxes. They had to provide financial statements. So now they were prepared to get, access to capital in the future. And so we really work for our companies through that. And I think I agree with these guys that we're still, in a very difficult place. We're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah, it's a little touchy.
Yeah. We're still emerging from the pandemic is what I'm seeing with our businesses.
I mean, you have some businesses that are doing really well. I mean, staffing, knock on wood someplace. I mean, we're staffing, right? 3% unemployment, now's a good time for me. But there are companies that are still somewhat trying to figure it out, saying, okay, we're stabilized now. How do we go back to growing? And I think that is the question that many Black businesses are trying to figure out right now. I think the two things that you guys provide, the first thing for me is that changes communities. What changes communities is education and entrepreneurship. And both, as far as I'm concerned, the Black chambers have proven to me that those two things are really important to you guys too. If you get people educated, it will change not only the trajectory of their lives, but everybody that they touch. The same thing with entrepreneurship. You get you have people involved in building their own revenue streams or their own ecosystems. It changes everybody around, changes the lives of everybody around them. So I applaud you guys for doing what you do, because I think that those two things change lives long term. Now, the last thing I got to ask you guys, I know that you guys you're not you're autonomous of each other. Cool thing is that you don't compete with each other. I like that. You're autonomous. But what are some of the things that you guys are trying to do together?
Well, I'm going to interrupt and say, I don't think we're autonomous of each other. And, one thing I will say this, when I started the chamber, and once again, do my research, you kind of had these spheres, circulating in their own region and area.
Yeah.
And for me, I said, we got to work together. I really think that we came out of even the whole buy Black and bank Black and then the pandemic. It was that realization, like, look, guys, you get more done when you do it collectively. And if we want to have that huge impact, we do it together. And so I think more and more we're understanding that. So I know Grassford can appreciate this. I ran down his prior board chairs, Bruce Lewis and Frank Hated, to say, let's do something together. And so way back in January of 2020, right before the pandemic, we did have not only a reception, but we, had a reception at the place of a construction company talking about contracting businesses and them looking to work with Black businesses, and did the same thing with Eric. And we all actually went up together to Tallahassee for Black Chamber Day, along with 9 other chambers across the state. So I think we're all realizing and understanding the importance of working together and having that larger impact. And, we're working on doing something this, my dream is coming true, doing something this month for this National Black Business Month, and having a joint event with all 3 of us. So we'll be announcing that pretty soon. So I'm excited. I think that we're stronger together. We support each other. We learn from each other. And that really is how we're going to make it and how we're going to thrive.
That's awesome.
And I'll jump in on that just to say, we as a people do enough competing with one another. I'm so happy that the
say it, brother. Say it.
Chambers certainly, I can call Shaheewa whenever I have a question, and vice versa. And I feel free to do the same thing with Eric. Some of the things Shaheewa mentioned, for example, the QuickBooks. I know there's a comment from Taka Fields in the comment box. I'm listening and learning from what other chambers are doing. Let's face it, we can't all do everything at the same level. There are things that the Miami-Dade Chamber has that we don't have, and vice versa. But I always love to hear what other folks are doing, so I can emulate that and implement that within our chamber. So that's why these kind of programs are so important, because you hear, you learn, you implement. And that's a collaboration that we all need. So I'm not about any competition when it comes to serving our businesses. As Shaheewa mentioned, when we went up to Tallahassee as a group, and we were able to stand on the Capitol with folks from all throughout the country, that was the state. And I think maybe there's some folks out of state. That was an incredibly powerful, symbolic message that we sent that day. And we also went there with specific programmatic asks. It wasn't just to show up and do a photo op. Right. So Shaheewa deserves a lot of credit for having a vision to want to create this statewide collaboration. I know she put a lot of work into seeing that come to fruition. So again, I'm all about giving people their flowers, and I think she deserves a lot of credit for coordinating that. And I know that's something that's going to grow beyond just this year. And the goal is that when these billion-dollar budgets are being appropriated, that it won't be a 0.43 or whatever Shaheewa said existed in Broward County. That all you want is what's fair. You don't got to give me more, just give me what's fair. And we know that a lot of times we don't get what's fair. So I'm gonna get out that soapbox, but in terms of cooperation, I think, and collaboration, we have that down.
Yeah, very true.
Go ahead, Matt. Matt, I have to give you your due. I can see you sitting on the edge of your seat, Matt. You wanted to say something?
because when Shaheewa was like, "Oh, when chambers came together, do that." She didn't say that she was the founder of Florida Black Chamber Day. We got to make sure that she led that initiative to bring us all together. And then I will actually say that there is a little bit of friendly competition, as Grassford said. Like we recognize what each other is doing, and we always want to improve, and that's what we need. Like we need to continue to improve, but it's a competition and collaboration for all of us to shine as part of South Florida and also the state of Florida Black Chambers of Commerce. So our president, Eric Knowles, has been actually a part of the spearhead of that. He was actually started the chair of the South Florida Black Prosperity Alliance, which brought together not only all 3 chambers in South Florida, but social activists, business leaders, and quite a few others. So we are really pushing the needle here in South Florida to make sure that our communities see those collaborations and know that there's unity and power in what we do. And as long as we continue to grow and develop, then we all going to shine. So much respect to all the leaders. And I'm glad I can be on this call because our president couldn't make it on this call. But we are dedicated to empowering South Florida and the state of Florida Black business community. We literally have the potential to become one of the most powerful Black communities in the Western Hemisphere. We're the capital of
in our lifetimes.
In our lifetime. And people don't realize the significance of that. Like, we're the capital of the Caribbean. There are more Black businesses and Black owners in the Caribbean than all of the state of United States of America. And their family members, their friends are right here in South Florida. So we have a lot of potential here. And as long as we continue to collaborate, that's one of the biggest things our chairman, Jeff Lozama, is about. He's was prior president of the chairman of the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce. So he's big on making sure that we bring together diaspora along with Black Americans so that we can really make more connections and build this ecosystem so that we can lay a foundation for our family and our kids.
Perfect. Well, I got to tell you, for me, it's simply this. It's like, joining the chamber is important. But if you're on the Black business, you should join the Black chamber in your area, whatever that area is. Join the Black chamber. But not only join the chamber and pay your dues, give your time is equally important. You have to give your time as well. You not only have to give your time in order to ensure the success of the chamber, but you also have to give your time to secure the success of that young business person that's watching you, that's listening to you, that believes that he can actually do as much or better than you. So you have to not only give your money, but you have to give your time. And we're talking about time. I really appreciate you guys. You guys run chambers as well as you run significant businesses, and to take the time out to do this, I think it's just huge. I really, really appreciate it. For me, again, it's Black Business Month every month, and I'm sure as far as you guys are concerned, it's Black Business Month every month. And I really appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts and your insight in an unfiltered, very candid kind of way, which is very important. Very unfiltered, very candid. I appreciate that. Now, before I let you guys go, got to pay the bills. I got to thank our sponsors. And again, Demesman and Dover, personal injury attorneys. Victor, you and your staff, I really appreciate all you guys do. You guys not only support Black businesses, but you support HBCUs as well, and you do it in a way that's unselfish. Career Source South Florida. I like to tell people that, gosh, this is life-changing stuff. There's so many jobs. Career Source South Florida every week posts a lot of different jobs that basically could be life-changing for you. It would be a good idea for you to kind of, if you're looking for a new opportunity, to go to their website and apply for some of these positions. And some of them are flight specialists, $38 an hour, an aircraft mechanic, $24 an hour, a senior food and beverage manager, $22 an hour, room manager, $22 an hour, teller, $15 an hour, beverage manager, $15 an hour, an ocean spa housekeeper, part-time, $15 an hour, customer service specialist, $14 an hour, groundskeeper, $13 an hour, and a line cook, $10 an hour. No matter what you're looking for, the type of opportunity that you're looking for, you might just find it on Career Source South Florida. I want to thank also FAMU Medical Marijuana Educators and Research Institute, Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County, and AARP. You guys have, again, supported this podcast for a long time, and I really appreciate it. Now, just getting back to you guys, I want you guys to just leave us with one parting thought, one nugget, one goal, one kernel of a goal that some business can actually use to kind of take themselves from one place to the next. We'll start ladies first. Shaheewa, you're muted.
Of course, Jay, you started. Well, I'll just start by saying thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure seeing you and Thanks to Dexter as well for getting me on the show. It's always a pleasure to be on with Grassford and Matthew. I guess I'd say these two things. One, I go back to the fact that we recently started this Health Equity Council in the chamber. So we want to make sure that as a business owner, I know you're out there running your business, you're providing a service or a product, but make sure that you're taking care of yourself. With all that's going on, and I tell you, like I said, I get the calls. There's stress. There's a lot involved in being an entrepreneur, and it takes a lot to balance it all. So I want you to know that, one, you're not in it alone. There is a resource and support here in the chamber. But also make sure that if you need the help, you get that, other help. You take ways to de-stress your life, whether that's through meditation, getting some type of professional counseling, exercising. My point is, don't shy away from getting that professional help if you need it, because we all need to decompress sometimes. There are a lot of pressures from what we're seeing on the news, and then personal pressures in your life. So I just wanted to make that point, to take care of yourself mentally. My entrepreneurs sometimes forget to take care of themselves for the long term, meaning retirement. So we also try to make sure we cover that part. Make sure that your work is not in vain, that you're in fact saving for your retirement, and you have a plan, an end of business plan in essence. Don't forget that. We find that a lot of times people, may not think of that. And lastly, as it goes to the point of, don't work in vain, make sure you're giving back. And at the chamber, we have a program where we work with the Dillard Entrepreneurship Center. Entrepreneurs come in and they pour into the lives of our future entrepreneurs and leaders, help them prepare for a business competition where they actually sell a product and a service. So make sure you're giving back and pouring into your community as well. It's great to build wealth for yourself, but you leave a lasting legacy when you pour into your community. That's wealth multiplied exponentially. So that's what I'll leave with you today.
Great. Thank you. We'll go with you, Matt. What are your thoughts, Matt? Well, what do you want to leave our viewing audience with?
Get your money right. You need to know your numbers and have those financial statements. That is one of the greatest barriers that we encounter day to day. I'm on the ground working with a lot of business owners from just starting up to many 10 years in the game, multi-million-dollar businesses. And the biggest challenge they have is making sure their numbers are together. What I mean by that is making sure you can produce a correct and accurate profit and loss statement. You can be able to look at that profit or loss statement and make strategic business decisions based upon those numbers. And with that, you will understand how to price your services. There's too many of us doing stuff because we want to give people discounts and we want to help people out. And we're not putting money in our own pockets to take care of ourselves and our families, which is the foundation for having your mental and health together. Like, is making sure your money is right. So I strongly encourage you to make sure you focus on your numbers, knowing what your revenue goals for each month, each quarter, each year. What's your minimum revenue goal? What's your ideal, to make sure that you are reinvesting back into your business and living a lifestyle you want to live. And if what I'm saying to you, it makes you stressed out and you're a little worried, then reach out and give us a call. Go to our chamber, www.m-dcc.org. Go to our services, technical assistance, and we have free one-on-one, no-cost technical assistance where we will sit down with you and work on everything I just said. And all of these programs and workshops that you're going to, we can help you take that knowledge, personalize it to your business, your situation, and help you reach the goals you need to access capital, government contracts, and grow your business. So make sure you reach out to the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. We are here. We are present. We are available. Give us a call. You are not in this alone. All right. You are not in this alone.
There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse, Matt, than going and getting then I watch these small businesses go out and get these contracts. They go through an RFP, they do a contract, and they bankrupt themselves. They go right out of business because they don't understand the margins. And they're saying, oh, I got this government contract, right? And, a year later,
Exactly.
they're out of business because of the fact that the margins made absolutely no sense. And the crazy thing is that whoever gave them that contract knew that when they gave it to them. They
Yep.
knew this person was working themselves right out of a business, right? I agree with you 100%. And that's the one thing that I always tell businesses, just like yourself, don't, know what the margins are, know how to make money. Grassford, what's your parting thoughts? As
Thank
a
you.
good alpha man, I know this is going to be like serious. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat now. Let me give me some.
So I like Matthew's point about discounts, because it seems
Nope.
like people only want to
Pressure.
ask discounts when it comes to certain businesses. I never got it. But I want to make this point. Successful people plan. Successful people plan. They understand what their goals are, and then they prioritize their time to match those goals. Your time is your most valuable asset. And so if you look at your calendar throughout the course of the day, I can have a good sense of what your priorities really are. So we need to align our goals to the way that we spend our time. And I think for some of us, and myself sometimes is included, I need to realign the way I spend my time. But I think it's important that we recognize how valuable our time is, and also how valuable our network is. As a person that's in business, just about everything I've been able to get as far as clients are based upon relationships that I've developed over the course of years. And some of that is based upon mutual interest, but it's also intentional. If Shaheewa or Matthew or Jay has some knowledge that I can benefit from, I'm gonna try to meet them and ask them. And at the same time, understanding that it's a give and take. If there's an opportunity for me to lend them some assistance in some kind of way, I'm looking for those opportunities. So it's a mutual relationship. So the main parting advice I have is look at your relationships, look at your time, and make sure that that's aligned with your goals.
Great. Finally, guys, I just want to say this last thing. Thank you very much. Again, you guys are like the guys that not only very successful in your own careers, but very successful in running what I believe to be tip of the spear organizations. So thank you very much for spending the time to do this. I always say that if it is to be, it's up to me. And I believe that you guys wholeheartedly subscribe to that as well. So thank you very much. And this is another installment of the Business of Black Business. My name is Jay Reynolds. Thank you for being here.